welcome to the 56th day of 90 Days of Facebook Live. Y'all, I want to talk about something. And that is there's more, but I just want to cover two. Maybe just get these off of my chest. Like the two worst tax advice that I've heard on social media. Yeah, by business owners, by the way. Um, Yeah, that's why I say that whatever advice you hear is great, but you want to make sure to run that by through your tax professional to make sure that that is something that you can actually implement, right? And the reason why I am bringing this up is because there was another CPA, a fellow CPA, that was talking about um, people who, this age of AI that we're in, that's able to do a lot of things that maybe accountants and CPAs were needed for. They're being replaced by AI. Well, no, I'm coming up with that right now. But she was talking about how people are going on TikTok and they're listening to tax advice from other people. And so it's causing them to come back to their accountants and say, hey, I didn't hear about this tax avoidance strategy, so I'm upset or I'm leaving, and the thing is that y- you want to, like, first of all, I don't know. Maybe I just came on here to rant. I don't know, but not rant. But first of all, what I would say is that it is important that you do choose a proper tax professional. But the thing that I would really stress and manage is that, like, um, you want to make sure. So this is how accountants, CPAs, like how they typically do engagement. So every separate service that they do is called an engagement, right? So you may pay for a tax preparation engagement, me a service. So that means that they prepare your taxes, they tell you how much you owe, they may give a few pointers here and there, and then you either pay the amount to the IRS or you wait for the refund. And so what happens is that I what happens is that a lot of people want to put, like, make the tax prep professional a tax planner at the same time. And so the thing is that those are two separate functions that require two separate types of services that require an investment, especially if somebody needs to take time to really delve into your situation and figure out which tax strategies are going to be best used for your particular circumstance. And so the thing is that if you pay for a tax prep service, that is what you're getting. You are getting a tax preparation service. Like, that doesn't include, bookkeeping, right? That doesn't include um tax planning, right? That doesn't include any of that technically. Now, that's not to say that if the tax professional that's doing your taxes is not going through and saying, okay, well, hey, you sure you didn't drive any miles? Or, hey, did you have a home office? Like, just different questions like that, as it pertains to your business. But for them to, like, say, hey, I heard this on TikTok, and it's just a lot that goes on there. Now, there's no problem with asking, but here's the thing. People are like, okay, well, I'm going to jump ship and I'm going to switch over to another accountant, the one who's educating me. Well, here's something that I kind of got a little bit of inside information, is that a lot of times, you know what? My comments aren't showing, so I don't even know who's on here. All right, no one's on here. That's great. At least they're not commented. So a lot of times, if a person is really good administratively, meaning that they're really good with doing the tax prep, sometimes they're not going to be the best in helping you with the tax plan. And the person, hey, what's going on, hubby? And the person who's on there educating you, giving you all the goods on social media, probably are not going to be the best doing the tax prep. I'm just keeping it real, just keeping it super real. I might even go even the further with the realness, is that there's someone that I like look up to. It's like, oh wow, this person's very prominent, always on, constantly, right? Giving information, tax information. But when I read the reviews of that particular service that they provide, like even down to the tax prep service, that like whatever services that they provided. Now, again, this person is really educated. I still look up to them. They are amazing. There were a lot of reviews that said otherwise when it comes to the nitty gritty. So the thing is that you want to have like a team. You want to grow your finances and your business to a point to where you can actually have a team, to where you can have someone that can be a foreseer and see the tax deductions as they need to come up, right? Or if they have a team that does it, that's great too. Or and then you want to have someone that will make sure to dot all the i's and cross the t's, right? And making sure that they prepare a tax return, a proper tax return for you, right? And so I'm just letting y'all know, right? It's very hard to get that combination, because it's almost like you're working two, what is it? Maybe like two sides of the brain, right? The foresight, and then one who's taking historical information. Like there's a difference between like the historian and the one who can be prophetic and be a great foreseer, right? There's a difference. And so back to my what I was going to talk about. Two worst tax advices that I have heard. Um, and that all tied into this, right? That all tied into this, because after hearing that, it's like, okay, well, let's kind of dispel some of the myths that I've been hearing, or I have heard. Let me say that I have heard. I'm not constantly in these rooms hearing this. So, first one I've heard that was like really crazy is that, well, the way to avoid taxes, this is what I've heard, is how about running my business as a nonprofit? Yeah, that's yeah, that's what they said. They said in order to avoid taxes, I'm going to run my for-profit business as a nonprofit to avoid taxes. Like, and this person was saying that the rich were doing this. Now again, there are some strategies that are being used, donor advised funds and those things like that, opening up charity foundations. Hello, Gates Foundation, right? But I've heard that, and I'm like, if you're intentionally wanting to make a profit that profits you, right? That profits the stakeholders, let me just say that. You want to make sure that you do it as a for-profit business. Like, let's not try to sneak around and in accounting, there's this term like, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and it's a duck, right? And so we don't want to do that. And I've heard that, and I'm like, no, that is not the way to avoid taxes, is by just simply running your business as a nonprofit. Like, first of all, there's something called UBIT, which is called unrelated business income transactions, right? Income, like, like it's not a good idea, right? Not a good idea at all. So, especially if your company isn't making money like that, you want to make sure to get advice. So, here's a disclaimer: I'm not a business attorney, business lawyer. So, you got some in the works and you talk to a CPA attorney and they're like, hey, this is what we're going to do. Yes, then by all means. But you want to make sure to talk to the proper channels. Don't go on LegalZoom and start a nonprofit and say, hey, y'all, this is my business. This is how I'm making money. Don't want to do that. So that is one of the worst tax advice that I've heard in someone who is wanting to avoid taxes. Number two is is pretty interesting too, because whew, yeah, this one was this one was a hot mess, right? So and it happened in the clubhouse days, right? The clubhouse days when everybody was a professional, right? Everybody was an expert at everything and anything, right? I was just amazed at how many people even grew their business legitimately. Now they grew their business legitimately, but there are some people that really should not have been talking. Like, yes, you may have had 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 followers. But that doesn't mean that every single thing that you said should have been taken with whatever, right? It should have been taken with a grain of salt, right? You may have been successful in a particular area, but that doesn't make you an expert in all areas. So there was a particular person that was on here, and I guess I was brought on as a guest, CPA. Hey, let's talk about taxes, right? Or what? I don't know. I have no idea. But there was another business person on there who made money. And I don't know. I guess they made money doing digital products or whatever. I don't know. But for whatever reason, I wasn't speaking yet. This person got on there and was like, hey guys, um, you know what? Yeah, so what you want to do first? And I guess she just wanted to just start right off the bat and just get some game. Open up a LLC because your whole life's an LLC. You can write off your house, your car, my kids' prom got paid for, everything got paid for, all of my whole life, because my life is a business. Now, mind you, this person wasn't an influencer. They weren't even a YouTube influencer. But they proceeded to say how all these personal expenses were all deductible in their life, right? Everything, kids, kids proms, and just everything, like everything imagine that you can think of that is super duper personal, right? Everything was write offable, like everything. And I know I made up that word, write offable, and I was so embarrassed because I got quite. I mean, I didn't say it. It was like, what in the world? Like, where? What am I in right now? And so this was like the embarrassing part. A couple of other CPAs saw that I was on there. They joined in. They joined in while she was saying all of that, and they just jumped right in. Why didn't I jump in? I think because I was just shocked that she was like, "Hey, do y'all understand? Am I right?" And I was like, no, like you're not right. I think I was just in a state of shock. Like, this is the information that people are receiving on social media. And so some other CPAs and actually an ex IRS agent actually came on there and like totally ate her alive because um yeah, that it just wasn't right. Um, that's why I said always make sure to go to your tax professional. There are ways to legitimately um, not pay for your kids' proms directly, right? But to pay your children legitimately so that if they needed money for a prom dress and they legitimately work for you bona fide, right? Then they might have some money to actually get a prom dress. So, but that was not the method that was shared. And like I said, just I don't know if this is like a warning or anything, but you just gotta really be careful. Me, I have newsletters and I have blogs on my website. So you can sign up for them and I release a blog or a newsletter every other week or every week in regards to tax breaks and different things like that. So you want to make sure that the source is legitimate and that you just don't go off of information. Another thing I want to say is that yes, the information may be true in what they're saying, but it may not apply to you. So, or I've had a client be like, "Hey, I've heard I can do this. I want to make sure we do that this year." And I'm like, "That was done last year." Like, I already did that. Oh, okay. I didn't know we were already doing that. So it's a lot of things, like I said, that you want to make sure to be not even be educated, because here's the thing. I can hear something from another CPA or tax advice. I'm listening through my own filtered like accounting background. Someone else can listen and they have a non accounting background, and so they interpret it a different way. They perceive, they understand it in a different way that I can understand. So it's just like if somebody was in uh I don't know, I could just take a technology or IT or something like that. If I hear something off and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't have the level of understanding that somebody who's an expert in IT would have the level of understanding. So the thing is that, or musically, definitely musically, right? For me. So if somebody was an expert, or they knew how to compose or something, and I read an article or something, yes, I may have that information, but it's based on my level of understanding. So that's why I say, go, like, if there's a question or something you ran into, go and talk to your tax professional and ask them, hey, is this true? Is this not true? Right? A lot of people were wanting to write off 100% of their car, even though they weren't using it 100% of the time. And so, yeah, there's just a lot of things out there, a lot to cover, but I just wanted to share that, maybe just get that off of my chest, because I just thought that was just insane. The whole nonprofit thing, and um, just writing off things, parties, your kids' parties, and different things like that, that um, wasn't legit. So, anyways, that's all I wanted to share. A little bit of a rant right there. And yeah, so anyways, if you haven't signed for my newsletter, you can go to coachjanellecpa.com, and you will get a newsletter emailed to you. And then also you can go to coachjanellecpa.com and go to my blog post and see some IRS tax information there. So thank y'all so much, and y'all have a blessed one. Bye bye.